You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Oh my goodness. This month has been wild. Okay, this weekend has been extreme. I just feel like, what they say, Mercury retrograde. I'm not trying to really believe all that, but I definitely think there's something going on here. May the 13th was nuts, which was Friday the 13th, which was like the anniversary of the Move bombing in Philadelphia. There was Kendrick Lamar's new album that came out. There was the beginning of the Penn reunion, which I'm going to get right into. It's been a lot. And this is like the last weekend before we get into the finale of the Pennsylvania primaries, which has been an entire shit show. So all of that is going to be talked about today. Okay, because I love this recording. I love recording this podcast. I love this show. And some of you love it too. And it was great to go to Penn reunion, alumni weekend. It wasn't my reunion. I'm class of 2014. But I crashed the reunion because class of 12 had theirs, and I know a lot of people there. And they had it at the Penn Museum, which, is where I got married in October. So it was interesting coming back and looking and seeing and everything like that. Of course, as you all know, Mr. Johnson, my husband, who has that really exciting bartending business, Bartender Barry, my goodness, was one of the vendors at the alumni weekend. Okay, so we're both Penn alum getting Penn money. He did a showcase at the Spectrum event and had cocktails flowing. His lavender lemonade was a hit. So many people got to see it in real time and have it. And I was really excited because they was able to try his cocktails, and it was a great, successful thing. His 5th year reunion was this year. He's class of 2017. So he went to it. It's interesting because both of us are pretty much we feel the same way about Penn events, is that going back to campus it's bittersweet. In one sense, I love going back to see faculty and professors and administrators that were there, because a lot of them were very pivotal, clearly, in my career trajectory and just everything, the relationships I had and everything I had going. So I was always grateful for the Penn professors and faculty, most of them, let me be clear, most of them. But it was interesting because the students, right, like my peers and his peers, and it's interesting. It's just a weird thing, right? Because there's some folks that you keep up with on social media and other things, and we blossom and we grow, and then you are reminded of a lot of people who just did not evolve past college. And I was actually telling, one of my best friends, Abel, I was telling him that there's two types of people when you graduate from college. There are people who look at those 4 years as the years that they got all of the resources and skills and all of the challenging aspects of themselves in those 4 years, and then they walk away and then have to return to any of the self-reflection that I would believe is required post-college. They just say, look, I learned everything I need to know in college, and now I'm in the world, and I can just take over. Then there's people like myself, and I believe my husband and Abel and others like us, that look at college as being the place that introduced us to tools, resources, and networks to then expand our learning to be lifelong learners. I mean, that's how I look at it. I looked at college as the place that really planted seeds in my mind. And then from there, building upon that and learning and growing off of that type of pedagogy. That's how I see college. So to me, it was interesting because I remember Penn being a school where a lot of rich people went to. And it's clear, right? It's one of the top in the country, in the world. But it became clear to me that the mannerisms and behavior of some people I went to school with in their adulthood was still similar to where they were when we were 18, 19 years old. And so it was one thing to be entitled and bratty and, rich and privileged at 18, and you're trying to figure that out, I guess. But it's another thing to be 30 years old and still acting like the asshole you were in freshman sophomore year. And that was what was interesting to see, was that there were people that were still like literally a carbon copy of themselves like a decade ago. And that was just a lot to take in. Another thing that was really weird was, so I went to the class of 12 reunion, but interesting enough, because Penn is our, ballers, they this year made alumni weekend and the reunions, they celebrated anyone who was born, I'm not born, but graduated in, it was like the zeros, the ones, and the twos. So if you was like, let's say you graduated in 2000, they did the 2000 reunion, they did the 2021 reunion, 2022, 2011, 10, 2011, and 2012 reunions. Like anyone who was in that year, those 3 years, because technically those people did not get to have reunions. So they made a big super reunion this year for people to have multiple years. We're celebrating it throughout the entire damn campus. It was wild. So there was like the class of 12 reunion included enough space for class of 11 and 10. So everybody had theirs. That entire 3 year group had theirs at the Penn Museum. So I went to that. So I saw people from 2011. I mean, I didn't know anyone from 2010 because I graduated. I came to Penn in 2010. They were out the door in May. I came fall. So I didn't know anyone from 2010. But 2011, I knew a couple of faces. But 2012, I definitely knew faces. So it was interesting to see that group, 10 years later. And it was, it was a lot. I think for me, what has been the most interesting, and I talked about this in my Twitter thread, was that a lot of these individuals, a lot of them, and I'm talking specifically about my Black, Penn constituency, a lot of people are out, right? It's been 10 years. A lot of them are out as openly queer. I don't think there's any trans people, but there were a lot of queer and gay and lesbian individuals for sure. Bisexual, maybe there could have been, who knows? But like, it was definitely a lot of queer people now. And, you know, as someone who was out my entire time in college, campus, and a couple of people who were as well that, I connected with, it was an interesting experience because a lot of those individuals who are now out, not the ones who were out then, but the ones who are now out now, it was interesting because I'm like, you were some of the same people that were super homophobic, not just homophobic, but very homophobic, but also very discriminatory. Like there were opportunities and things I wanted to have in campus leadership. Granted, I made a fucking way, and clearly, based on what you know of my experiences at Penn, I definitely had a lot of achievement and a lot of accomplishments and great things. But there were some things I was interested in doing that I just was restricted from doing. Not because I was not qualified or had the willpower, but because I was simply gay. Um, yeah, there was homophobia. Um, and in many ways, when I look back, it was very blatant. They didn't say the word he was gay. They said that, oh, it would be a distraction. Me being a distraction, right? My existence, my identity. Oh, we don't, oh, it would be a lot. Oh, he's too much. And they would never say the words they wouldn't say what was too much. But these were like the dog whistles that I had experienced from these people. And some of them showed up voguing at the museum and so lively. And there was this interest in having this group gay pic, which we took. And some of the people in those photos, I was like, wow, I'm sitting with people that were once upon a time suppressing me. And in the midst of a party, right? Like there was no confrontation because I think we're just all just moving through. But I left that night and I was just like people out here acting like they're telling the story differently. I mean, people come up and give me a hug and all of this, and I'm just kind of like, the last time I saw you, you was saying a different tune. And there's a natural instinct of a person to say, oh, get over it. Oh, Ernest, people change, people evolve. I know. But there's also a fakeness to it all in the sense that you committed harm and you're just not even going to acknowledge that aspect, that your journey, part of your journey coming out meant suppressing and discriminating against the very black queer people that you now are clinging to at this party because some of the same professional homophobes that we knew are now not talking to you, or they're distancing themselves from you now because they're still the same assholes they were then. But you sat there and you was a pick me and you thought it was cute to be the only one or the one that could fit in. It was very interesting. It was very interesting. And it was great reconnecting with the gays that were out back then because we all were looking good. We were smelling good. We aged well. We were doing our thug fizzle. And some of these other folks, man, I was like, wow, 10 years definitely did a lot to you, you know? But it was interesting to just see that. And it's it was just a lot because it was like when I was there talking to so many people, it was funny because I was, I'm still in Philadelphia, of course, and I was like, yeah, I got married here. And it's like the weirdness of looking at people that you went to school with that did not take you seriously, that literally treated you like a pariah, and you're in the very museum where they're having their reunion, and they're like, you could be able to say, yeah, I got married here with a black man that also went to Penn, and I'm living pretty well, thank you. And they have no other choice but to stand. It's bittersweet. It's interesting. It's very interesting. But beyond the shenanigans, it was great to come back to see people that had been following me on social media that I don't get the chance to see in person because they live out of state, and to hear the stories of how people remember an article and how it touched them, or their excitement about the book, the sheer joy of people who say they listen to the podcast. I'm like, I didn't even know you listen to the podcast, so I got to give one shout out to my homeboy Pedro, who listens to this show a lot, and his sister apparently, who I've never met in person, but she sounds like a fabulous person that listens to this podcast, and even he was telling me tells her about it. She goes back and she tells him about it, and I think that's hilarious. So shout out to Pedro and his sister for listening to the show and telling your friends too, and just everyone who I've bumped into this weekend who like in person was like running up to me telling me I got your book and showing me that they pre-ordered it, and and just all of the enthusiasm and excitement that has come, and just so many people who were not mean people that were just nice that remember those early days, those formative years, and or we would consider the wonder years, and was just so happy to see that I kept staying true to who I am and how that inspires them. And, and it's kind of cool to be like the oracle of like a decade. Like a lot of the things that I was saying back then has come to fruition now. And it kind of feels good in a way to win the cultural wars because I was voguing on those museum steps at a toga party back in 2010. That was like 12 years ago. And I was dressing, and I'm such an icon. I'm such an icon. Anyway, I was dressing out and being queer and being loud and setting the tone. Myself and people like Christopher Griffin, who was also there. He's doing fabulous in New York. He's like a whole plant dad. He got this crazy plant garden thing. And it was great to connect with him. And we were just walking through that party together and a couple others and just looking around and saying, damn, like look at the girls. Look at the people. And it was fun. It's also interesting, I must say that, well, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to save that for Amanda on another phone call. Amanda, we will talk. We got to talk about something else, but I'm going to leave that off the podcast, but I have to catch myself. We get a little too comfortable on this podcast. You, the audience, we get comfortable. We get a little too comfortable. Sometimes I'll be like, wait a minute, we get a little too comfortable. That's bestie section of the conversation. But what I will tell you all is that it was very interesting seeing some people who are now married and many who are engaged and they're still trying to be with women. But maybe that's who they are. Maybe, sexuality can be fluid. Maybe there's something different. It was just very interesting to see that too. But well, it was good to know that I still got it. Let me just say, when I was walking through, I was like, oh, I still got it. Oh. And I would tell this too to married people. People don't care that you're married. They'll still try to, be extra and be spicy. People do not care. People do not respect married people. That's why I tell married people all the time, you gotta respect yourself. You gotta, do the Beyonce and show them that ring and be like, hello, hi. No, no, no. No, no, no. Because there'd be people like that. Look, oh, I gotta watch myself around you. Yes, you do. Like, I'm a sole believer that being married will not stop people from like just shooting their shot, especially if they, are sexually repressed. You just have to be, as the married person in that situation, in respecting your marriage, respecting yourself, to just say, yo, no. And even if you're not married, if you're in a relationship that's monogamous and you're like, look, be classy. So that's just what I'll say. People sometimes will just listen, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care. They think that once they had it once, they can have it again. Well, once you squander the opportunity, that's it. Now you have to imagine it in with your hand. But as Pink said, you're in your hand tonight. An old song, but a goodie. Um, but anyway, week was great. The weekend was interesting. I have to say one more thing before I get into these like really deep, newsworthy topics. Now, etiquette. I'm big on like dinner parties and dinners and brunches and things. So I'm gonna have to put my besties on a hot spot. My good friend Abel, he knows what I'm talking about. I ain't gonna name names. We went to brunch with a group of people, group of women, and they were from his class. It was like six of us. We was at Booker's. Y'all know I love my Booker's. Black owned, West Philly. They hadn't been since, the renovations and expansion of Booker's. So a lot of this is like new to them. So we go to this brunch. It's six of us. We're, getting bottles because, we're having a little bit of a bottomless brunch. We all kind of eat entrees. One particular person who was at the table orders a salad. The salad has no meat. It has feta and nuts. And it's like a arugula salad, big ass salad, but there is no meat. It's whatever. So they order this. They get it at the table. They don't eat it. They wait to the end and they get it packed all the way up. I'm just kind of like, well, why did you buy a salad? And where's the meat? But okay. Don't even eat it, but have the server bring it and then never eat it and then pack it back up. They don't drink. They drink a Red Bull. Who orders a Red Bull at a table at a brunch? Anyway, do that. So everyone else is eating, drinking, bottles and stuff. The bill comes to the table. With the gratuity and tax added, it comes out to a little close to $300. It's not $300 exactly, but it's close to $300. Now, mathematically speaking, to people who go to brunch that is grown, when you split that check by six, it is $50. That is not bad for a brunch with bottles, with entrees, and everything else. That is an incredibly good deal. And that's with the gratuity added. And that was a 20% gratuity. So you got the tip, you got the gratuity, you got the tax, all that's included, right? And that's at 50. It rings down to about $50. So to me, I'm like, this is perfect. The adult in me is like, well, damn, we're not going to go through all this. No one ordered extra drinks. No one did anything ridiculous. Let's just split it. That's just how I get down. So everyone's kind of like, wow, $50, that's not bad. Because I didn't live in New York and California where, the prices be out the roof. So everyone's pretty much down for it. Of course, here comes this salad girl over here like, oh, I don't think we should split it evenly because, I only had a salad and I didn't drink. Now my mom looking at her like. So there's that moment, right? Where I'm like, first of all, this was a class that was like class of 17, I think 16 or 17. Like, so Abel was class of 16. So I was just like gonna, hang out with him. So I'm like, we're not going to, we're like, really? So I do this thing where I just kind of ignore what she's saying. I'm just looking at it, but like, anyway, we're going to split this six ways and just going to make it do what it's going to do. And her friend, which was next to her, just try, she realizes that her friend is being petulant, like a petulant child. And she says, you know what? I'm just going to put her on my tab. And I was like, oh, well, that's nice of you. So when the bill came out, we split it 50 even. But I'm just like, how tacky are you to force the rest of the five people to have to sit up and itemize every damn thing at the brunch, especially for that server when we can all split evenly? Girl, bite that bullet, bite that L. Who the hell, if you wasn't going to brunch like everybody else, why did you bring your ass? And why did you think that you really was going to do it? And first of all, $50 is not going to break anybody with a bunch of us who are all degreed up, went to Penn. So like for people who are like everyday, listen, for my listeners who think a $50 brunch is expensive or whatnot, I get it. But for this particular group of people, this is unacceptable. Like everybody could like if you're going, first of all, I'm just in the mindset that if you're going out, prepare to spend money unless you're comped. Tip well. Um, just be a team player and also recognize and read the room. So it was just annoying. But her other friend picked it up for her because again, pen people, these girls got money. She just said, "I'm just gonna put it on my tab. I don't want to deal with the frustration," which was classy of her. It was big of the young woman who did that. But for the other person, like, are you serious? Are you serious? I was just taken aback. I just thought it was straight up tacky. And I was just like, see, this is why I do brunch and do dinner and do these things with people I know. I don't really like to eat out with strangers unless if it's just, one-on-one business lunch or something, sure. But I don't really like to be a plus one to like other people's stuff because I don't know how they are culturally. Like if it was my friends are just, first of all, none of my friends would be eating a salad that they wouldn't eat with no meat and a Red Bull at a brunch that is like a soul food black brunch. I just thought it was weird as fuck. Second of all, we're grown enough, like a lot of times, to be real with you, we know what we're getting into before we get into it. I'm just like, this is the thing. He was just like, they're still stuck in the college years because in college, people used to do that stuff. I remember when I was in college, when it was this bigger groups and circles and cliques and things, we would have to, and I used to think back then it was like ridiculous. So I was always the person that would just come with a big bill and be like, look, here's $100 bill. That should cover it. Take the change, whatever. And it would be way more than what I was spent, but I was just that person, or I'll just have, like, depending on what the dinner circumstances was. If it was like a, typically $20, $30 dinner, I just put $50 bills and say, just whatever the extra is, do it. Because I was just over it. Like, I hate bill splitting. I just think it's stupid. Like, if you're out and you're grown, match the energy. Now, if you're somebody that goes out and you're the type of person that's an alcoholic, which, drink responsibly, people, but you're that person, because we know people like that, where they will just guzzle down. Then you better come in there and be the generous queen and make it rain on that bill and don't make it hard for everybody else. If you're that person. I just think there's a different read. It's just etiquette. And like, again, I don't know what planet these people are on. I just feel like what I've had to understand is that pen people alone are like aliens in a different universe. And mind you, I went to Penn too, but there's two types of Penn people. There are Penn people that came for money, and there's Penn people who don't. So like I have a lot of homies. Most of my friends who I graduated with from Penn are either middle class or working class, and a lot of them are first generation college students, and some of them have parents who went to college as well. But it's something about being friends with those individuals and rich. I had a very super rich friend from Penn many years ago. We are no longer friends anymore. I'm not even going to drop hints about what that was about, but that was many years ago. I look at the friends I have now, and there's a trend with all of us compared to that. But when I go to reunions and I go to homecoming, we mix and mingle, and I'm always reminded of how insufferable some of these people are. And you're like, damn, 5 years, 10 years later, y'all are still the same people. And then you wonder why you can't keep a relationship. You wonder why you don't have really any friends outside this pin bubble. Because, like, listen, as somebody who's ventured out in Philadelphia and across the country, I can understand why some people in this city despise us as a collective. Because we really are obnoxious as fuck. A good chunk of us are. We really are pretentious and classless and elitist and annoying as hell. And the sad part is that for all of that hubris that many of us have, a lot of them have not accomplished as much given the resources, the access and entry they have. I am doing a read right now, but this is what it is. And it was a moment for me to realize that, like, damn, so many of you all were just fulfilling your parents' plan. And for many of people like myself, college was the plan. It was the destination. It was the last shot we had to some level of upward mobility for ourselves. For these people, they didn't go to Penn. Like, going to Penn, it wasn't like college or bust. For me, it was college or bust. For Abel, it was college or bust. For Mr. Johnson, it was college or bust. But for some people, it wasn't that way. And so for them, it was like, if I didn't go to college or I didn't do this, mommy and daddy going to have a job for me anyway. I'm just here for fun. I'm just here to do coke in the bathroom and I go to jail. I'm just here to just fuck over people's life. I was walking down Locust Walk, a famous walk, many, many times I made it talk on Locust Walk. But when I walked down Locust Walk and I saw some of the alumni parties of like all these older white men, I was just like, there is about 5 or 4, couple of Brett Kavanaughs, walking around amongst us. There's a couple of Clarence Thomases walking around these campus streets. It's just taking it in and realizing that I was in class with somebody, this was a school that Elon Musk went to, that Donald Trump went to, and others, right, that went to this school. And that there's a perpetuation in the culture of that still happening there. Oh, goodness, y'all not ready for this. I felt so much. I was caught up in the rapture of it all. It was enlightening on so many different levels. And I wasn't ready. I was not ready as much as I thought I was to go back. But the beauty of it all is to come back and to be able to have had the last word. To be able to walk around and be like, I told y'all. That was the best part. It was the flex for me. It was the flex. And it was also being able to embrace and feel this love, by so many people over the years that I did have great relationships with. It's so funny because when I think about my time at Penn, I always thought that the book would show me as a polarizing figure because I was very different. But in reality, I was just someone who was just ahead of my time and looking where the school is going. I mean, I went by campus. I went to a gender neutral bathroom at Penn and I'm like, wow, they have a gender neutral bathroom like right in Houston Hall. And it was interesting because they kept the door open, but all of the bathrooms are single stalls and they're closed from head to toe. So it's like a cubicle. Each of the bathroom stalls were like cubicles. So you couldn't tell the gender or identity of anybody in those restroom stalls. The door was open. You could just walk out and you had this privacy. I was like, first of all, we need to have gender neutral bathrooms everywhere because my goodness, first of all, let's be clear before I get into this with gender neutral bathrooms. Most people's houses are everybody's house is a gender neutral bathroom for starters. But like a big gender neutral bathroom where there's like multiple, spaces is dope. And it was interesting. And, they had a lactation room in the other room. And it was just like, wow, look at this. Look at this. Like history was on my side. Like the country to a certain extent, right? At least certain aspects of this liberal college learning that many of us queer folk in that Black space, we won the culture wars when it came to progress for LGBTQI people on Penn's campus. That it was beyond just the LGBT center or just any of that, but there was progress made in those sections. So that was just touching. A lot of I was like, wow, we've come such a long way. That was really the theme of the alumni weekend for me was like, we've come such a long way. And in some ways we didn't, but we did for some parts. So that was alumni weekend. Oh, days, counting down the days. The PA primaries are about to end. I think I know. First of all, I know who I'm voting for these races. To me, I think the race is over. I think John Fetterman will win the Democratic primary for Senate. I think that there will be some incumbent whiplash across Pennsylvania. I know Josh Shapiro and Austin Davis are going to win. Brian Simpson's political career will be over beginning May 17th, 2020. 2022. It's going to be over. He's been in office. He got elected in 2012. It's been a 10-year run. It's time to go. So it's going to be interesting. The establishment, I think, is going to get their ass handed to them. A lot of the challengers they ran against progressive incumbents, I think those will fall. I think we're at a place where the Democratic race looks to be tightening up. Fetterman is under the weather, so he wasn't able to do any campaign events this weekend, which was so mysterious. He hasn't really told much of the press the call, so, we don't know if it's COVID, we don't know what it is, but to be honest, get well soon. The polls kept coming out. The margins are wild. I mean, he's got a ridiculous lead, up over 50 points now. Fetterman cannot crack past 25%. It's just looking like a wrap. Everyone's acting like the polls are this, that, but I think everyone's starting to realize, even the coverage I'm seeing, that Fetterman's pretty much going to be the front. He's going to win. He's a presumptive winner. And to be quite honest, there was never a time in the polls that Fetterman was never not having a lead. He's kept the lead and it's built a lead since the very beginning, since he announced he was running. And, interesting enough, the oldest running black newspaper in the country, the Philadelphia Tribune, has officially endorsed him for Senate, which was a major, major moment. For me, that was the moment when I was like, he's going to win. I already thought he was going to win. I mean, I've been covering him for a minute now, but I was like, yeah, this is a big deal because there was just so much speculation that black voters or even those black within the mainstream media, whatever, was not embracing him, did not see it for him, or they couldn't make a case. And when he got the Philadelphia Tribune's endorsement, a lot of those raggedy, repulsive, disgusting, trolling Connor Lamb trolls on Twitter, I think they melted. They had a meltdown. Um, Now, granted, the Philadelphia Inquirer endorsed Connor Lamb, which they thought was just going to be this big thing. And they just thought people were flexing. First of all, I know how this goes. And it's funny when you get extreme political fans that cannot see beyond their bubble of obsession, right? And so for me, I always tell people that while I might have my own personal preferences of who I think should win the race, I think there are people who I think should win that I don't think are going to win on Tuesday. Like I think Alexandra Hunt, elect Toes, I find her campaign interesting. I'm going to vote for her. I think I'm just going to just go ahead and vote for her. I just think that I would like to see something different in Congress. And I think Dwight Evans has been there for not too long, but he just, he's been in politics for a long, 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 long time. And I just feel like we're just not seeing enough flair and action in Pennsylvania with him in a position. So I'm going to vote for Alexandra Hunt. I mean, she's out fundraised him, but I don't think she's going to win. I think the establishment is going to protect that. I think the Northwest is going to protect him. But again, I'm not delusional with the realities that be. These kind of Lamb fans, okay, and stands, they are just, now they're lying about, aspects about John Fetterman. They're lying about, they're sensationalizing situations. They're just always find themselves attacking any and anybody who disagrees with them about the race. They have resorted to ad hominem attacks, the name calling. And I mean, at this point, I'm over it and I'm over them. And a lot of us are. They don't live here. They're Afro surfing or turfing, I would say. Or astro surfing or turfing, where they're not from here, but they come to this area and they basically troll local voters that could actually have a stake in the race. And they think that, their influence will actually make a difference. And it isn't. I mean, donating money to your candidate is great, but you're not here on the ground. And I keep telling them that. You're not here on the ground. You don't understand this. And so every time, Fetterman or any of these candidates get a win or a loss, they can't explain it. They can't articulate it because they've created this metric in their mind about what the electability would be and what the electorate would be. And they're comparing it to national trends. But I keep telling people, Pennsylvania is a purple state. We're complicated. And voters will elect a Larry Krasner and then turn around and want a more conservative governor in a Josh Shapiro. Like, it's just very different. I mean, he's conservative, different, he's a moderate, right? But there's a very interesting way we vote. We don't make sense in how we vote. But that's also because we're also looking at races individually sometimes, and then sometimes we look at them collectively. And it's just complicated, but they don't get it. And they're just reading too much into it. And I'm just like, I'm just at the point where I'm like, can Tuesday just hurry the fuck up? Like, shut these people up. Let's just go to the polls. Let's just vote it out. Let's just get it out the way. Let's just shut everybody up. Because I'm just so tired of all of the conspiracy theories and all the hypotheticals. It's just time to let the numbers show what I have been saying for months. Let the polls show what many people on the ground knew that was true, because all these national analysts and commentators, they don't understand Pennsylvania. They're not listening to people who are not surrogates or paid or fake want to be paid surrogates that are out here talking. Talk to people who are journalists that are on the ground that are covering it. Talk to people who are not just simply judging everything based off of identity politics. Talk to people who can articulate this. Malcolm Kenyatta was talking to Simone Sanders last week about how he wasn't electable to voters, and a lot of this had to do with him being a black queer person. And I was just like, listen, I'm a black queer person, and I'm not voting for your ass. And a lot of my queer black friends in Philadelphia who live in this city that know you are not voting for you. And a lot of it doesn't have anything to do with you being electable for your identity. Because let me explain why I think that's hypocritical and also just not true. Alexandra Hunt is like a real underdog. She's 28 years old. She's going against Dwight Evans, who's a longtime political powerhouse in Pennsylvania. Like, Dwight Evans is an icon. Like, no one's going to take his status from the conversation. Not voting for him, but also I'm not like at all denying this man's political impact and the fact that he will most likely win. In spite of all of that, Alexandra Hunt has raised thousands upon thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to the point where it's over $500,000 she's raised, and she's now eclipsing the incumbent, okay? And the crazy part is that everything about her would say she is not electable. She is a woman who embraced being a former sex worker. She embraces all of the things that most candidates do not. And her agenda is very progressive and robust and aggressive. It's what I would like to see in Congress, right? I did not fundraise her campaign, but I personally think her campaign's better than Dwight's. I am going to vote for her. And here's the thing. I know that the likelihood of her winning is very slim, but I believe in her platform. I believe in what she represents. And I think the problem with a lot of people with Malcolm is that they don't believe him. And for all the right reasons, right? They don't believe him because of the fact that this is a person who in 2016 was a big Hillary supporter. And listen, let's be very clear. A lot of us, like myself, thought that was the pathway. She did get the nomination. She didn't win. We think she cheated. A lot of us supported Hillary, and a lot of people did support Bernie Sanders. At that time, I supported Hillary. I just thought, we was in a different world. I think politics post-16 versus pre-16 are very different, right? Just like the way we talk about race pre-2020 versus post-2020, right? There's just some things that are very different. I think for me, I was more open to, being pragmatic. I was more open to being incremental before the 2016 election. And so I saw Hillary as the pragmatic's hope, the one step at a time, the incremental approach, because we had 8 years of Obama, and I thought that was just going to go where we're going upward and moving forward. After she lost, after I began to see how the Republicans played a different game, how I began to realize that you have to have an iron fist in that seat, that you have to make opinions that are polarizing, that polarizing people get shit done. I began to really fall out of love with moderates and people who were not going to be a little bit more progressive and radical than that. And that was an awakening that so many of us did, right? I think a lot of us thought about that. And here's the thing, 2020 came and Biden was a nominee, but I didn't support Biden in the primaries. I went for Bernie Sanders. Julian Castro was my first pick, but he dropped out the race. But, once Biden got on the ticket, there were other voters who are older that supported him. It was fine. It was what it was. He was better than Trump, clearly. So I had to pick the lesser of evils. But now, when we look at the state of politics right now, after insurrection, after all this white supremacy affiliation with the Republican Party, after all of that, you have people like Nancy Pelosi saying things like, oh, we need to have stronger Republicans in office, to act like that they weren't problematic before Trump. Republicans have always been a problem. And the fact that we're trying to act like their existence in the political strata isn't the reason how we got Roe versus Wade being overturned, or the threat of it being overturned, let me be clear. The fact that we're not acknowledging that they've been working on this long before Trump, and that Trump's presidency and their support of Trump at the end is how we got it. Say what you want about Donald Trump, but he has made a lasting impact in American politics, policy-wise. We talk about his personality and all that crap, but policy-wise, Trump has put a real dent into progress in this country. Those Supreme Court appointments that he now has, okay, those nominations has forever shaped the court. And now we're starting to see the backlash. And it was, I mean, that man in his presidency got to appoint, I believe, 3 people. That's wild. And could you imagine what we would be like if Hillary would have won in 2016? I mean, granted, people don't like her personally, but those Supreme Court nominations could have been different. But I say also all to say that, Malcolm was a big Hillary stumper, which was, I think, justifiable at that time. I can understand where we were then, especially as Black voters, right? I understand it. We were all young. We were like 26. We were on the same age, 26, 25 when that happened. Okay, cool. But then we get to 2020, and the first person you're jumping up for is Joe Biden. Like, you're pushing Joe Biden. Like, you're a big cheerleader for Joe Biden. You're this party cheerleader. You're like rubber shoulders with the establishment. You weren't that dude. And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, because you find out the party's not going to endorse you or support you, you then align with the Working Families Party. You then begin to try to reinvent yourself as this all progressive guy. And it's like, this is not who you are. This is not the guy you were. You were a rainbow capitalist that was aligning yourself with the establishment that got you that seat because your cousin had it before you, and there was party deals that got you that seat, and you've ever since then was upholding and supporting those party people until they turned on you. Now you're in your feelings, and now you want to pretend that you're this big progressive that's got this big idea, and now nobody wants to vote for you, and now you want to act like it's because you're Black and gay. Sit down. Malcolm's going to lose because of Malcolm. Malcolm's going to lose because that was just what it was from the jump. Malcolm's going to lose because he played the game and the clown came back to bite. That's why he's going to lose. And yes, granted, there might be some homophobia and racism clearly at play. But to be honest, it's by the very anti-Black elected officials that you rub shoulders with. Some of which are endorsing you now, and the big establishment ones, like the Joanna McClinsons of the world, the Streets of the world, they're not endorsing you, even though they're considered allies elsewhere. Because you know why? Because some of those people don't think he was loyal. He has definitely bucked a lot of folks who put him on, and now they're looking for revenge. Again, nothing to do per se directly with his sexual orientation or his race. This is Black political power that is pushed up against him. And it has nothing to do with this idea around electability. Because again, there are people out here that are also not considered electable, but are getting way more money and way more support. His campaign dollars are not reflecting the outcome. His campaign dollars aren't. The polls show it's not happening. And, the only thing I would say is that his best bet is to come in second in this Pennsylvania primary. To be honest, I think it would be fun to see that happen for him. It won't make his race be completely in vain. And also be fun to see Conor Lamb supporters, melt. So on Conor Lamb, long story short, he doesn't have the name recognition that appeals to people. He's ran a very dry, boring campaign. The only thing that's really made his campaign pop is the level of vitriol and mudslinging from his PAC, the PAC that has supported him. From a lot of the online Twitter trolls, a lot of the ridiculous over-the-top campaign attacks he's been launching. His campaign was super negative and sour, and he just never really attracted that many bees with honey. He also is in a congressional seat that honestly, he needs to be happy he has, and he should hold on to that seat. But to try to potentially forfeit it to go to Senate and then leave that seat open to just be taken and given by Republicans is pointless. We can get the best of both worlds. You keep your congressional seat, Fetterman moves up, and guess what? Malcolm Kenyatta can stay in the state house. It's a win-win for everybody, right? I feel like if Fetterman wins, he'll win the primary and go off to win the general. It looks like everyone's winning. We have a Black person in his seat for Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis. Josh Shapiro gets the governor's seat in the mansion. And then, we got Fetterman in the Senate, and then we keep Conor Lamb in Congress, and then we keep Malcolm in the state house. Win-win for everybody, right? Versus you lose that seat. Conor loses that fucking seat. He loses his race. He's going to lose this anyway. Keep your seat. It was meant to happen that way. Malcolm, you get to keep your seat in the state house, buddy. And hopefully you have another colleague there named Andre Carroll that I hope will defeat Kinsey over there in Northwest. So there's going to be a win-win across the board, I would say. And everybody's to come together, right? All you moderates, vote blue no matter who. Remember that, baby? Vote blue no matter who. That's what you told the rest of us in 2022. And 2020. And guess what I did? I voted blue no matter who. Okay? Begrudgingly, but I did. I'm going to do the same. Okay? Because that's what you do, right? You idiots don't get it. Some of these idiots in the Democratic Party do not get it. Republicans get it. Okay? They were like, look, Trump is an asshole. Guess I got to throw my morals and lose my spine, but I got to do what I got to do for my party, right? There are so many times where I'm like, I want to just fucking be an independent, but then I'm like, I really have to have something to say at the polls, at the primaries. I just can't give it up. I can't. So, but I would say that outside of the Senate race, which I think is a wrap at this point, these other races have been nasty. You all saw my Instagram there, for some of you all followed, all of the craziness that was happening, around this race in the Northwest involving State Rep Chris Rabb versus State Rep Ella Fitzgerald. Now, both of them are now in the same district because of district remapping. So they both are going. So we're going to lose an incumbent. One of them. We're going to lose a black incumbent. I think that it's going to be Chris Rabb who's going to win. I don't think Isabel Fitzgerald is going to win. I just don't see it. But her flyer, let me just say, was very spicy. Her team put out a flyer, 2 flyers of showing an illustration of Chris Rabb on a boat with a white woman, and Ellie is the black woman without a lifeguard drowning. There's also another image, illustration, another flyer of Chris Rabb being on a plane or a plane of his, and a white woman is scrolling down with a parachute, but the black woman doesn't have one. And they're basically accusing him of basically undermining and throwing a black woman out of a race. And I'm sitting here looking like, was he supposed to not run? Was he supposed to just forfeit the seat and give it to her? Like, especially when arguably she's not as effective or as great as a leader as he, according to people in the district who's going to vote for him. People feel like, she's been in office longer than he's been in office. He's clearly got a strong progressive agenda that's more progressive than hers. And clearly, I think the voters are going to vote for him and not her. And it's just, unfortunate that she's then shifted the race in this type of way. It's been a very, 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 very polarized election across the board. I'm looking at this Elizabeth Fetler. I'm looking at, in my district, there is Rick Kajewski versus James Wright. But there's been a lot of organizations outside of these candidates that have been running some really nasty attack literature with guns ablazing. It's been very messy. And there's also other races. West Philadelphia is crazy. You got Almond Brown versus Cass Green versus Saj Purple, Blackwell, all these colors. But again, I think the incumbent in that case is Almond in this new district. I think Almond Brown's going to win, to be honest. I think that too many people in a race, when you're in a 3-person race, it just cuts votes down. So it needs momentum. The other 2 candidates thought they had. I think it's going to get spoiled if I was a predictor in that race. But again, we're going to all find out very soon. And I'm excited to see this happening because I've been for a minute following all of this. But let me just say that while the Democratic side of this primary is calming down, the Republicans are imploding. The Republican Party in Pennsylvania is imploding right now. The GOP is imploding. The Senate race and gubernatorial, this Doug Mastriano, whatever his name is, got endorsed by Trump. This man is crazy. He is going to set the country back. He wants to set Pennsylvania back to the Handmaid's Tale era. But he's nuts. And, it's going to be interesting because if he goes against Shapiro, I think Shapiro might have a chance because that guy is on the extreme. And it's going to be easy for, I think, Shapiro to really challenge that dude. But in the Senate race, we've been talking a lot about Dr. Oz and about, McCormick, this other guy who's also running. But there is a new force of energy that's been surging lately. Her name is Kathy Barnett, Black conservative woman. She's a Trumper, even though Trump does not think she's electable. Interesting. But she's adapting a lot of Trump rhetoric. Sean Hannity at Fox News is calling her unelectable, think she has a chance in November. A lot of the Republicans are getting very worried over here in Pennsylvania and across the country about this, her, being the face of that Senate seat. She is surging in the polls. She is doing her thug thizzle. She is out here, and she is crazy as fuck as well. She's batshit crazy. I'm sorry. These people are ridiculous. If you look at her campaign videos, she's hilarious. She's a hoot. I'll give her that. She's a whole hoot. But they know that she is not going to win against a John Fetterman. They don't think she has a chance. Fetterman will have a field day with her, and I think she thinks she's going to have a field day with Fetterman. But I don't know. I don't know if she's going to win. I still think Dr. Oz, who's got the backing of Trump, I think he still has that edge because that race is too crowded. There's a lot of people still running in that race. There are people dropping out of gubernatorial races, endorsing other people for governor. It's messy. It's very messy. But for whatever reason, I'm seeing a lot of division. We don't know how this is going to shake up. I don't know. If I was a betting man, I think odds make people take it. But then again, I don't know. I just don't know about Kathy. Kathy would be hilarious if she did run, but also scary hilarious. Let me be very clear. But I don't know if she's going to pull it off. I don't know. That I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see how the Republicans show up. Like, will a Black woman get the Republicans' nomination for Senate in Pennsylvania? Oh my God. Tim Scott, you better watch out. You might have a buddy, which will not happen because listen, y'all, we are not going to, listen, this cannot happen. Tim Scott cannot have another Black friend in the Senate with him on the Republican side, period. But it's going to be interesting because Trump is not really showing love. There's been a lot of speculation that she's been lying about her record, like her vetting is off. There's people calling for her to be properly vetted. It's a lot going on over there on the Republican side. But we'll see. We're days away. Countdown. So in other news, there's a lot going on in the grifting community. Every time I think we're not going to be talking about Shaun King finds himself back in the news. So there was a lot of noise and buzz this past week over a lot of the shenanigans surrounding Shaun King and just a lot of one of his bad business practices. Once again, people are having conversations about Shaun King and Ashley Ray, who is a television writer and, and she's a comedian and she's very talented. She has basically done a thread talking about how it's been 8 months since Shaun King launched a private clothing line and that sold $165 hoodies, even though there has not been an update since October, and then his entire Instagram has been deleted, and the last existing comments were people saying they still hadn't gotten their orders. But it's been a shit show. And every time I turn around, there's always another Shaun King grift. There's always another Shaun King controversy. And people are out here just saying that the website is still up, but he is accepting purchases because, of course, he's going to still take people's money, even though people are just kind of like, where is my money? So it's been just wild that, and I've heard a lot of people, I don't understand how in 2022, people are still giving money to Shaun King projects, okay? Because he's faced over years and years and articles, many of them which are written by myself and others, and Black journalists, we have been talking about how there has been a lot of allegations of financial impropriety and misconduct with his finances. There's those allegations have been following this man for a very long time, and I don't understand why people would still roll the dice. There are other Black organizations and individuals that are actually Black, in my opinion, that are doing better work, that are doing real work, that are doing things of substance. And so it's really weird to me that we're still out here giving, money to this man. Not myself, not my friends, but there are people out here that are still letting this man do what he do. So in some sense, I want to feel sorry for these people. And I don't think it's ever a time to laugh or be, pointing a finger at people's misfortune. But at some point, when are we as a community going to say enough's a fucking enough? This ain't it. I mean, that's just where I'm at with it. Where are we with this, right? So, yeah, I've been completely turned off from some of the things that I have seen lately pertaining to all of this. I just am like, come on, people. We got to be better than this. Why do we have to keep waiting for it to happen to us before we believe people? And that's been my frustration. Why do it have to happen to us individually before we give a damn or we care? Period. Speaking of which, grifting. So Jay-Z's Rock Nation, he's leading, he owns Rock Nation. They're trying to convene a social justice summit to drive action, to the midterms. Now, on the front of that, you're like, I don't even know if Jay-Z is the best to be doing anything with social justice. That's the first red flag. But okay, maybe he'll put some good people. Well, look who he has as his headliners. Charlemagne the God. Yes, the man who's been allowing transphobia to just run rampant on that trash-ass Breakfast Club. And also a man who's been accused multiple times of rape. And anti-blackness, and also being a misogynist to many black women. Then you have Ben Crump, who many people say have barely won a case, but have consistently found himself in the middle of black trauma and has capitalized and made millions off of it, allegedly. Then you have Van Jones, the guy who, was cuddling up to the Trumps and always was defending Trump, and also being a half-asser crying when Kamala won, but was one of those people that kept on acting like Trump was going to be something different, and was found having lots of communication with his organization, and yada, 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 that idiot. Oh, also Tamika Mallory, who plugged her book title when doing a Black Lives Matter performance at the Grammys, and she was plugging her book during a set. Yeah, that woman. And the one who also made a Breonna BBQ for her and kind of, commodified the death of Breonna Taylor through a rally and group, and then tried to defend it because the family, quote unquote, supported it. Interesting. And then Eric Michael Dyson, who, him and his wife was put them on an advisory board when Black Georgetown students were on the record during the pandemic and staged a sit-in naming him as a known serial sexual predator of women on campus. I mean, that was there. Google that. People were talking about that, and people were shocked that they're platforming him and his wife by putting him on the advisory board when he literally had black students at Georgetown that were talking about some of his behavior. I mean, this is all there. I mean, there's history here. There was an entire black sit-in of students. The Black Survivors Coalition at Georgetown University was going against them. And Georgetown investigated Professor Michael Eric Dyson for student harassment allegations before his hire by Vanderbilt. There's a whole article about this, okay? To be clear, he was far from the only alleged predator on campus at the time, but he was one of the most powerful voices and influencers. So I just don't think you all knew that, but it's interesting that all these people had, are being on this. So it's like, did you vet any of these people? Why are these the people? Like, who are they? They're not respected. They're not respected. I mean, Ben Crump, maybe, right? I guess there is I guess for some people, Ben Crump is somewhat of a redeemable quality to some people. I guess, right? But everybody else on that list and that slant, I'm just like, this is trash. So that's going to be a bust. I'm not promoting it or paying for it myself. Let me just put that out there. So in other news, there was a lot of chatter on Twitter about Lori Harvey. So Lori Harvey is the daughter of Steve Harvey. Yes, Steve Harvey. And she currently dates Michael B. Jordan. I had to sip my water there. And she is also a model. And she's known for her Instagram account with her Model-esque photos. Well, she got on social media over a couple of days talking about, people are asking her what her routine is. I don't know. I get it. People see bodies and they want to know how you lost weight, quote unquote. There's just a culture on this. And I've evolved. in my thinking about weight loss and things, and I think people need to know more about it. But anywho, she talked about how, she gained 15 pounds and knew she had to lose this relationship weight that she had since dating, Michael B. Jordan. Because I guess, they've been going out to dinners and having a good time, being in love, being, happy, but she just had to get back in the gym. So she did this diet where she's eating 1,200 calories a day and she's working out and she's losing this weight. And I'm just like, on the surface, right? Because we've been so used to hearing certain language around eating and dieting and things, that might sound very normal and we're okay with that. And we might think that's right. But actually, we really have to unpack our thinking around, fat phobia, right? And dieting and how we talk about it in public and how we talk about weight and how we talk about it all. And I've done a lot of thinking that we've been in a society that hates fat people. People that are overweight, people that are obese. We've grown up in a world where the first thing we tell people when we see them sometimes is, wow, you put on some pounds, or you look, and we talk about observation, or we make judgment calls on people's well-being based on how much they weigh. It's disgusting. And it's interesting because we've normalized it to the point where people think that this is actually healthy dialogue, and it absolutely is not. I was doing a lot of research about why was this such an interesting topic, but eating disorders and body dysphoria and all these issues, these issues around eating and health and weight around men is actually a huge thing in queer culture. It's also a thing around women in general, but it's also big in queer culture. There is this society of people who, really want to have, attraction and body and masculinity plays a role even within queer spaces of how queer people are sexualized often in media, where the only people that get to be on TV or get to be represented are people that are quote unquote look a certain way. Colorism still exists within those spaces. And I've been really, really looking at how I talk about those things, how my friends do. And it's just been really wild when you really hear what people are saying and what they're really saying. And so to me, I'm thinking, first of all, let me just get some things out the way. When we say things like relationship weight or, honeymoon weight and these types of things, we treat these things as if they're consequential. I want to be very clear when I say this. Your own individual journey to losing weight, however you feel about it, is your own journey. But it's very interesting when we put out certain language into the universe because we treat these things as if they're problems. So what does that mean, relationship weight? What does that actually say? That you're saying that when you was in love, that somehow there's a shame or a sin that you just so happen to want to feel comfortable with yourself, that you ate and you enjoyed yourself. That eating and the fact that you gain weight, because that's a human quality, people gain weight, that's a normal thing, that somehow there's a level of shame or fault or consequence to that. And that it's something that you just had to get rid of because, oh my God, heaven forbids that you gained 15 pounds. That somehow doing that was a problem and a consequence that you must immediately go to the gym and erase, like a tattoo that you got when you were 16 and regret now, and you feel like, oh my God, this has to go away. We say this word freshman 15, and we think that somehow tracking and monitoring our weight in this way or surveilling our weight in our bodies does not also shape the way we think about people who have those bodies that don't want to quote unquote reform them. Where your idea of what you have to do and the influence of the platforms you have amongst many young women, right? When we say think about the kids, oh, this is the part where you think about the kids, right? That you're sending this message, right, to people in a society that consumes body image and think that body image is a reflection of individual merit, talent, and wealth. Yes, that's how much we discriminate people, okay? That are not necessarily black, white, or whatever. We do it internally, we do it across gender, we do it across other spectrums, and we begin to assess value in people's transformation, quote unquote. That a person can lose weight and then automatically they become better. What does that even mean? Better. What does that mean? Right? And then we then turn around and we say, right, we push up that this is all about health. It's not. It's not about health. The health is the scapegoat to defending the bigotry. It's to defending the fat phobia, right? the defending it. People say, well, is it fat phobia? I'm not scared of fat people. Let's break down fat phobia real quick. Fat phobia, right, is the constant stigmatization, the constant berating, the constant insulting towards the idea of weight gain and what comes with it. People who gain weight, the notion to automatically correct, police, imply or add or question someone's body based on their weight to make a judgment to do it is fat phobic because you're doing it in the sense that there is a fear of what it may be to you and what it looks like. There are people that automatically say, oh my God, I got to hit to the gym. Why are you afraid of those extra pounds? There is an investment, right? Right? People that want to lose weight for themselves for health reasons, right? But let's be very clear. There is a healthy way to go about that process, but then there's also a way that to some degree, gaining weight and gaining pounds and feel like you're immediately to go to the gym and lose it because you feel like you don't look attractive, that's fucked up. That's not healthy because you're not doing it for health. Health and correlation of appearance don't always equal the same thing. Gaining 3 pounds and saying I need to lose that weight immediately because you think that somehow that's about your health is the logic that you think that any amount of fat on your body is a health issue. It's just not fucking true. And the reality is that we're miseducating people because what happens is that people are talking about no pains, no gains. So you feel like you have to suppress yourself in a way that's not healthy. Now, if you're somebody who likes to work out or jog or whatever, and you do it for stress relief, you do it for that's just who you are. Like my husband loves to go running in the morning. He's not a person that do it for the sake of, oh, I gotta lose his weight. He just thinks it's a way to de-stress. I mean, he likes to do it. He likes how it makes him feel. He likes the energy. You know, I've never denied the fact I have a Peloton bike. I love the Peloton bike because I wanted to get more active. I wanted to do it. It wasn't a conversation about, oh, I gotta lose weight. Not necessarily. Because I still eat what I like to eat, you know. I make decisions based on energy levels. I make decisions based on how I overall feel. But that's my personal journey. I'm not telling everyone to get a Peloton bike. I'm not telling anybody to go out running. I've come to a sense that I just want people to be happy and healthy with themselves because we live in a society where beauty pageant queens, black, beautiful beauty pageant queens are committing suicide. And the fact that some people are thinking that their whole value or self-esteem is based on their appearance and looks, where some of those beautiful people in the world didn't think they were beautiful. They didn't think they were enough because at one point, you could go like Harvey and say, okay, I'm going to lose 15 pounds. I'm going to do this diet. But then they'll tell you that you need to do something else. And then you'll do that. Then they'll tell you need to do yoga or Pilates and other shit. And you need to do that. The endless capitalistic venture of this is all rooted in money and capitalism, right? This idea of losing weight, this idea of comfort, this idea of attraction are people selling shit to you to make money. They want to make money, right? If you really are serious about your health, go to a nutritionist. Because I promise you, they will not tell you that those diets that you're seeing is there. If you're somebody who really cares about losing weight, quote unquote, for health reasons, then you will never buy an online book. You will never go and try freak diets. You would actually go to a nutritionist and also go to a physician to actually talk to you about your situation. Okay? That's what you do. Like if you're actually looking at weight loss or weight gain as a health issue, then you will go to a doctor. I don't think any of these individuals think that their health is in the line. So the fat phobia is basically done on aesthetic and cosmetic purposes. Like I have friends of mine who were overweight to an extent where they went to a doctor to get help. Right? There was treatment they needed to do because of the fact that there was a situation where it was impacting their cholesterol levels and other aspects, but they did not go do a freak diet. They went to a physician. And let's be very clear. Those circumstances are different for different body. There are some people that are pre-diabetic for health reasons. There are people who have high blood pressure in their family. There's other different levels to it, but that is something that you go to a health professional for. You don't go to a social media influencer or an Instagram model for. So when people were saying, oh, Lori, give me your workout plan, that was wrong. Like no one should be asking any celebrity or any non-doctor for advice on how to lose weight or to do anything pertaining to their health. That's why it was wrong, people. That's why culturally we've been fucked up. And thank God for people like Lizzo. Thank God for people that are out here in that aspect, embracing themselves in that way. Because the reality is that there's so many myths about what weight looks like and body looks like. And you will go through hundreds and upon hundreds of dollars of supplements and tablets and shit. Go to a physician. Go to a health person that is a actual licensed nutritionist. Go seek professional guidance if you want to do anything pertaining to your health. I know I have. I do all the time. I get checkups. I do everything. I say, look, I'm about to take these new vitamin supplements. I go to my, physician. They say, okay, well, you're good. You're not deficient in these areas. Don't take too much of this because you might up your levels of this in your system. Like, I mean, a lot of people who have those resources, and if you don't, use Medicare, use that, talk to the health. There are people out here who are like licensed nutritionists and health professionals that are doing these services for free. Get the real professional help. Do not take it from a book that is trying to be a New York Times bestseller. Don't take it from a lot of these random gurus that are going to tell you things that's going to make you feel pain. You know what's crazy is that actually talking to a dietitian and someone who actually do work in health and nutrition, I found out that I don't have to eliminate anything I'm eating to, achieve any type of success I want for my health. That, to be honest, this whole idea of don't eat carbs at all is completely ignorant, right? Like dropping, like when I hear about the Kardashians, like when I heard about Kim and Pete doing this cutting all these carbs so they could dress up for the Met Gala, and then like literally after the Met Gala they crashed and ate pizza. That is so fucking stupid and unhealthy. But yet this whole idea of looking good in appearances is a society telling people that you're ugly if you gain weight. You're ugly if you put on a couple of pounds. You're ugly if you do X, Y, and Z. Like, we're in this situation where we're telling people that. And then we wonder why we see people have eating disorders. We wonder why we see people killing themselves. We wonder why people will go through extreme measures to get BBLs and all these other things. Because we're in a society that's consistently telling people that doing these things make them, fuck off. So there's a lot of issues that's going on. And so it's a lot. So I got an update about Fetterman. And I just want to, we're on the topic of health, but I want to say this because this is breaking news. On Friday, I wasn't feeling, this is a quote from Fetterman. He just sent it out today. He says, quote, on Friday, I wasn't feeling well, so I went to the hospital to get checked out. I didn't want to go. I didn't think I had to go, but Giselle, which is his wife, insisted. And as usual, she was right. I hadn't been feeling well, but was so focused on the campaign that I ignored the signs and just kept going. On Friday, it finally caught up with me. I had a stroke that was caused by a clot from my heart being in an AFib rhythm for too long. Fortunately, Giselle spotted the symptoms and got me to the hospital within minutes. The amazing doctors here were able to quickly and completely remove the clot, reverse the stroke, and got my heart under control as well. It's a good reminder to listen to your body and be aware of the signs. Quote, the good news is I'm feeling much better and the doctors tell me I didn't suffer from any cognitive damage. I'm well on my way to a full recovery, so I have a lot to be thankful for. They're keeping me here for now for observation, but I should be out of here sometime soon. The doctors have assured me that I'll be able to get back on the trail, but first I need to take a minute, get some rest, and recover. There's so much at stake in this race, and I'm going to be ready for the hard fight ahead. Quote, our campaign isn't slowing down one bit, and we will still be on the track to win this primary on Tuesday and flip the Senate seat in November. Thanks for all the support, and please get out there and vote. They released a video from Penn Medicine Lancaster General Hospital on Sunday. So, as you can see, news can break while doing a podcast. Sometimes you just get the information immediately. So there you have it. For those who've been listening, update. But I say all this to say, exactly, look what Fetterman did. He went and got help. He thought something was wrong. He didn't try some Dr. Sebi smoothie. He didn't just go somewhere. He went to a health practitioner. Case in point. Go to the doctor. Go to experts. Get checkups. Let the experts do the work. It's time for us, for America, to be smart again. Seriously. Okay? It's time for Americans to be smart again. We have to start going to people who are certified to do the things they need to do. So I'm happy that he is in good health. I'm happy he's doing well. That is huge. And looks like he's on a pathway to a full recovery. And I'm happy he's got his health checkout and everything ready because he's got a long road in November and we need him to be top notch, up to par. So that is that. Well, I just have to talk about this. Kendrick Lamar dropped his new album, and I know all of you all want to know what I think about it and want to talk about it. And listen, I just want to say that I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken. I'm devastated with that album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I'm disappointed in him. I was anticipating it, y'all. Like I saw the new song, the deep fakes, all of this stuff. I just thought that there was going to be some momentum, and he's just let me down. So there's two issues with that album, and a lot of people have been talking about on social. The album. I mean, so I guess I don't even know if there's a way to objectively say. I don't know, right? I guess like if you're somebody who just don't have a heart, you would say the album is going to be the most talked about album of the year. I bet it's going to probably get nominated for album of the year. I don't know if it's going to win. At this point, I hope it don't win. Adele might just go ahead and just take it. And you know what? Why not? Because if that's, Damn was such a great album. It was a Pulitzer Prize winner. It had all the potential. It should have really won album of the year. I wish in a perfect world, Bruno Mars did not win for 24 Karat Magic, but he did. But sadly, Kendrick does this new album. So, production wise, it's very avant-garde, it's very edgy. I mean, he definitely put a lot of thought into production. It's very self-reflective. It's his most, I think, personal album yet. He's very much so. It's been 5 years since he's dropped his own like studio solo album. It's the last one with the label he's currently with, and everything about it, it just. It's set up for success, right? It's meant to be something great. I mean, it is, he has talent. No one can deny that. But he falls under the unfortunate trap of making the same missteps and mishaps. And so the missteppers, he made missteps. The first thing is he has Kodak Black in the album. Kodak is in one of the interludes. He's on one of the songs, Silent Hill, the album. And if you don't know who Kodak Black is, this is the man who took a plea deal and pled guilty to raping basically an underage woman, a college student. No, I'm sorry. A high school student. He was accused of raping her. He took her to a hotel room after his concert and sexually assaulted her. And he took a plea deal and he tried to apologize to this young woman during his plea, then almost violated his probation, pretty much violated his probation on that by going to a strip club and basically punching another woman who was there. And no charges were filed, but those women accused him of such. And it's just really wild that, this man, also he's a colorist. I mean, he's basically have said that he wouldn't date a black woman that looked like him, referring to himself, talking about light-skinned women are more, softer or whatnot. It just very colorist. It's disgusting. He's also gross and misogynistic beyond those things. Lauren London, who, was the widow, she was the fiance of Nipsey Hussle right before he passed away. She was engaged to him, and he died during their engagement. Lauren London's been grieving his passing for some time. Kodak Black was talking about how he was gonna wait a year for him to shoot his shot. Completely disrespectful. And again, these are the things that this man's track record is, and there's so much more, but I have never really got into it. But you got an abuser, on your album that explores sexual abuse, explores trauma and therapy and all these other aspects, and yet you're giving a platform to this abuser the same way that Future did with his album, but yet people know Future's a toxic individual. You know what you're walking in with him. But for this to happen with Kendrick was just a letdown, was disappointing. And clearly he did it on purpose. Like Kendrick did it on purpose. Kendrick is smart. Kendrick, we're not going to make excuses for the not. See, y'all make excuses for the dumb artists, right? Like Drake and whatnot. And but we're not going to do it with conscious artists, right? Kendrick knows. Kendrick knew what he did. Kendrick, I think, is in this mindset where he thinks he can be a redeemer. He has a messiah complex throughout his music. And the funny part is that he's the guy who likes to position himself in this way, but then also say, we're not your savior. And it's like, well, I'm confused because you're putting on that cosplay. You know your followers, you know what kind of energy is giving. And at the end of the day, you're not all of us. This idea of trying to embody in his spirit too many people. It's just the arrogance. And I thought that was a caricature. But then I began to realize more and more, like, no, you're really fucked up. And then you're reminded of certain things that happened over the years. Like in 2018, there was a musician, XXTentacion or whatever. He's now deceased. He was killed. But he, before his passing, had a very, tumultuous history. He had a background in abusing women, to the point where it was also very violent. Several accusations of abusing women. And these are some of the things that came about to the point that Spotify took R. Kelly and took him off. And Kendrick Lamar bucked against that trend based on the argument of censorship. Kendrick, what? What are you doing? And so I wrote about this in a special guest piece for Mike. I've never written for Mike before, but the incredible William Ketchum III hit me up. Incredible music culture editor. He's been at Vibe and other great places. Now he's at Mike. And just hit me up and saw my thread that I did on Twitter about this entire Kendrick album. And it was also on my Instagram, and you all really, got into it, read from it, and really got it and was really feeling what I had to say. And, it was just an interesting experience because I'm sitting here and I'm like, why, what was happening, to us to get us to a point where even quote unquote conscious rappers think that they're doing something by giving a platform to these trash ass people. That to me was what really stood out. Like, this is what we're, is this is what we're doing. So it's a lot. It's been a lot. And, I've told people all the time, that, listen, Kendrick Lamar, did a lot too. And there are people talking about that around this song, Auntie Diaries. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But I just want to be clear that, Kodak Black doesn't deserve redemption from Kendrick Lamar, nor did he need to waste his album and his energy trying to go about that way. It's just a lot of interesting decisions being made artistically, and I'm not here for it. So the big thing for me, and this is what a lot of people are wrestling with, Kendrick Lamar wrote a song about his transgender uncle and named it Auntie Diaries. Get it? It's transphobic as fuck. He's dead naming and misgendering a family member. Now, in this song, right, you listen to it at first glance and you think it's progressive, right? He's talking about the evolution of his own thinking around this topic around queerness and people, and he, it sounds like progression. Like you're like, okay, he's starting to understand it. But the way that he goes about trying to elaborate this progression, he meets with regression. So he drops the F slur, which is the word faggot. He drops it multiple times throughout the entire track. And he's trying to make this jarring attempt to try to, say that, these are the words we said, we don't know any better. And I'm like, yeah, bro, but you didn't have to say the word. It's like how I feel when Quentin Tarantino likes to put the N word in his movies, and it's like, so clearly you like the N word being used by white people. You clearly have an obsession with like giving an excuse to say it so that there could be a jarring after effect. So you're using it for shock value, and I wasn't here for it, right? So that's part of it. But then he talks about his transgender uncle, who he kept saying was, my auntie is a man now. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, and throughout the time, he ebb and flows between his and her pronouns. And he's doing a thing called dead naming. So dead naming is basically when somebody is naming the gender or the identity or the name, the former gender, identity, and name of a trans person. So if this person was assigned male at birth and they are now identifying as a woman, and they are a woman, to continue to use him pronouns is dead naming them, misgendering them. And also, he says in the song Bruce Jenner, he dead names Caitlyn Jenner. Now, I get that a lot of us do not like Caitlyn Jenner for her conservative views, and that's a different conversation for another day. However, we don't disrespect Caitlyn Jenner, or we don't, show our disdain for Caitlyn Jenner by dead naming her. That just is not acceptable. Throughout there, he also talks about a cousin who goes by Marianne now, but his name is Demetrius, I believe. And he's like, Demetrius Marianne now. Why are we dead naming? Why are we doing that? And this is a cousin of Kendrick's. So once again, this pattern of this, and I'm saying to myself, Kendrick, did you even run this song by your family members? Or better yet, since you have all these money resources, again, this was a decision. Kendrick was making a decision. Kendrick knew better. Kendrick chose this. Kendrick clearly knows better. Kendrick chose to make the song to have this effect. And to me, I'm telling people, intention versus impact, I think is very selfish. I think it's very dangerous. That the crazy part is that your audience is not as smart as you think they are. Your audience is going to be in a crowd, and you're going to be singing this song, and there's going to be a crowd of people saying faggot, faggot, faggot at your concert that you just announced. How is that working? What does that look like? What does that sound like? What does that feel like? Because you're going to perform this song, and because you're like hip hop's messiah to people, they're going to sing the lyrics left and left. I mean, is this like what it feels like for white people when they hear Niggas in Paris by Jay-Z and Kanye West? So they just have this moment where they're like, I don't say that part, because we know Gwyneth Paltrow was talking about how she was saying it, and I was like, sis, go sit down. You remember that? Go Google Gwyneth Paltrow, because she was like really big friends with Beyonce and Jay and all that. Go listen to her talk about this N-word and Niggas in Paris and this song, right? Figure out what she's talking about, right? So to me, I was disgusted by it, and a lot of trans and queer people were as well. I just was like, this is not necessary. You didn't have to do it this way, bro. There's ways to do things. Now, Jay-Z talked about his mother being a lesbian in his album 444. So for those people who act like Kendrick was the first to talk about this, he's not. I mean, hell, even Macklemore did it with Same Love. Did y'all forget your little friend, Macklemore? They did Same Love and talked about it. I mean, granted they were white, but they had a rap song about it. Jay-Z talked about it. I mean, this has been discussed in hip hop before in different ways. Now, transgender issues, that element is new to this, but we have had conversations in hip hop. There has been songs, there has been, innuendo, more so now than before, but there has been a lot. Not a lot, but there has been some. And I think that to act like Kendrick was the first to even brush over this topic in hip hop is it's just so problematic and also disrespectful and erasure, because I'm sorry, did we not listen to Lil Nas X's album Montero? Like, did y'all not hear some of those songs? But he actually broke down the pain and the issues he dealt with in his family life, that there was an adjustment, and he rapped and he crooned about it in his own album. So we're gonna act like Kendrick did this big major thing in hip hop when an artist with 2 number 1 hits off that album that was on the album of the year last year did it, and we forgot that. Like we forgot that Lil Nas X found a way to talk about this and change the world, and now we're trying to act like, oh, cishead Kendrick is doing something bold and daring. Fuck out of here. Again, it's the erasure for me. It's the erasure for me. I get it's like, again, what do you want, right? That's the question that gets asked people like us. I would say for me, first of all, is just, the power of language and words. That ain't your word to use, Kendrick. That's not the word of any straight person to use. Like the way that white people like to just say the N-word and act like they're saying it a different way. Don't get fucked up out here. People are still losing their jobs behind trying to say the N-word in ways that are not theirs. Let's not. There's never an okay time or appropriate time for white people to say nigger or nigga or nigga or whatever you want to say it in whatever cadence of the voice it is. It's not your place or space. I don't care if you're trying to educate people. Say the fucking N-word. Say N-word. Leave it there. Know your fucking place. Okay? I don't ever say the C word around women. I don't call women the C word. I don't use the word. I don't, because I understand the culture, the context of what that word means to women. So if women want to use CUNT, they can do that. But that's not something as a man I can use or reclaim or say differently. I know my fucking lane. The same way with white people. We're not using the N-word. And straight people, you're not using the word faggot. There's no way or word. You can say F-slur. You can find a different thing to say. You could just say homophobia and leave it there. You don't have to say these words. You don't possess them and you don't own them. And even if you're trying to act like it says something deeper in the song, bro, stop it. Let me tell y'all something. I keep using this word, this 3-letter phrase. Impact trumps intention. Translation, how people feel matters more than what you intended it to be, the effect of what you did. So if you hit somebody with a car and they get hit by the car and they're on the floor bleeding and screaming for their life, no one wants to hear you say, I didn't mean to hit you. What they want you to fucking do is help them so they can live. Priorities, people. It's not about you in that moment. It's about them. And so if you decided to do a song that involves the LGBTQI community and you're not considering the impact of what your slurs and your misgendering and your dead naming is going to do to these individuals, then I need you to take a step back and figure out, are you really as progressive or as thoughtful or have evolved as you claim you are in this song? Because I think, to me, Kendrick has now gotten into this weird space where he wants to be controversial. He wants to be an iconoclast. And I get the need to want to be a badass. It's been 5 years. How do you top one of the greatest albums in hip hop? You don't do it this way. And I just was very disappointed that so much of those antics stopped me from really enjoying this album. I mean, Kodak Black's appearances, not once but twice. Like, all of these decisions made me not rock with it. In 2017, when Kendrick dropped this album, it was right before the Me Too movement. It was right before the racial uprisings. It was right before more and more people across the society understood intersectionality. It was before Lil Nas X came into the scene. The way that we talk about gender, the way that we talk about abusers, the way that we as Black, smart, conscious listeners are trying to be in the culture, the things that we accepted before, 2017 and what we accept after are very different. We have changed. These past 5 years of Me Too have changed how we think and embrace abusers. We have kicked fucking R. Kelly out. Bill Cosby is in many ways still canceled in spite of the fact that he is no longer behind bars. We have gotten Harvey Weinstein up out of Hollywood. Woody Allen's days are numbered. We have done things to push back. Roman Polanski expelled by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. We have come a long way. There's still more progress that needs to be done, but we're getting there, right? The baby went on an entire homophobic rant and he suffered some consequences for that. He went from being the baby to who? Baby. Okay? Tory Lanez, yes, he still has this crazy cult following, but he has not advanced as much. as much. He still has a scar that is still following him as his trial continues to proceed. So there's a lot. There's a lot. And I just have to say this, by the way, for you Tory Lane apologists. This whole doctor's note talking about there was glass under Meg Thee Stallion's feet to try to act like there was no bullet fragments or she didn't get shot in the foot. That police report has been manipulated online, fake news. Let's be very clear. Meg and her police report had already said that there was glass fragments and gun fragments a part of her foot. It was not just a bullet, it was also glass. She had said both was in her foot. So the doctor's report talking about glass was there is no shocker because that was already acknowledged by Meg. Now people are looking to the gun fragments. So there at the end of the day, her story has been consistent. Everybody else around here just really wants to plead Tory Lane is just this upstanding gentleman when he's already shown his ass several times. So there you have that on that. But I said I was to say that, Kendrick again shows the limitations of cishet men in music, that even those who are supposed to know better still won't do better, and that there are those who believe that they can be able to, divorce themselves from accountability by saying that they're complicated or a contradiction. But the reality is that at some point, when are we going to have leaders or people that's just going to stand in their truth for something? How come all the time the contradiction, the grace, and the redemption only goes for abusers and homophobes, but are never extended or given to those who've been afflicted? Why is there so much energy in redeeming problematic, toxic ass rich motherfuckers, but we can't sit up here and find any space and grace or take the high road and support those who have been victims? Like, what's interesting to me is that Kendrick could have doubled down on, having a female rapper on his album. It is 2022. You are a leading hip hop artist, a man, and all these men in music have not put women hip hop artists on their album. Are they jealous? Are they bitter? Do they think that this will dilute them? Are they sexist? Are they misogynistic? I mean, you got Cardi B, you got Meg Thee Stallion. I mean, oh my God, Nicki Minaj is around still. There's people you could put in there. Right? There's new up-and-coming emerging artists as well. If you're going to have trash-ass artists like Kodak Black, if you're going to put these corny-ass rappers, these male rappers in your songs, Drake, I mean, there's room for women in hip-hop, right? There's no embrace. They're not including them on records. They're not putting them on albums. They don't. It's still a big man's game. And then the crazy part is that for all this talk about queer issues, no one wants to do any music with Lil Nas X. I don't see enough of these straight men in hip hop trying to collaborate with Lil Nas X. Like, there's no way that you could put him on a song like that or put him on a track or give a nod. No, they don't embrace him. They don't show any type of acknowledgement. And everyone could be elitist and say, oh, well, that's real hip hop. But those real hip hop artists put a lot of trash ass rappers on their shit. I mean, come on, Kanye with Future. I mean, Future has his hits, but come on. Like, some of these artists are not like, they're mumbling and they're babbling, and we can't even act like the men that get on these records with these other men are on the same caliber equally. So there's no excuse not to include more diverse talent artists. But again, that's what leaders in hip hop do. I just feel like Kendrick is trying to is still stuck in this very Hebrew Israelite Hotep ass box, and he's trying to reposition it as something deep thinking and moving, when actually it's the same shit we've been fed this entire time. That abusers are always going to get a second chance in hip hop, that the homophobes and bigots need more reflection and grace and more time, and that women and queer people within this black hip hop space are always going to be the second thought and always going to be the second class citizens of this genre, even though they have been the ones throughout the entire origins building it and making it better and challenging it and giving it more depth. Fuck them. Fuck them. It's what I'm talking about. Not those queer women, but those cishet men who consistently have benefited from the labor and the work, whether it's through fashion, whether through production or sets. We have been there. We've been consistently there throughout all of the culture, not just music, but arts in general. And yet we're still treated as second class, third class citizens. Fuck y'all. That's what I got to say on that. Fuck y'all. Fuck y'all. So that's how I feel about Kendrick's album. I can't listen to it. I'm not going to listen to it anymore. I mean, I was paid to write about it. I will, be paid for my, audible trauma. Like, I have nothing. I'm just disappointed. That's very disappointing. But, I did listen to Florence and the Machine's new album, which was really, really good. Also, let me just say, it's so odd that Kendrick dropped this album on Friday 13th, because I knew something wicked was going to happen, and that was the wicked thing that happened. So that was kind of weird. But Florence and the Machine dropped a new album, And honestly, it is giving me album year energy as well. Um, I wasn't expecting to be crazy about it, but it's called Dance Fever. This is an album. They haven't done an album in a while. They had an album called High as Hope that they did. And that kind of just went through. They, of course, there was Ceremonials, which was one of my favorites. How Big, How Blue, was another favorite album. How Blue, How Big, How Beautiful was 2015. Highest Hope was 2018. They had Ceremonials in 2011, which was one of my favorite albums by them. Then they had Lungs in 2009. So I've been listening to Florence and the Machine for a while. Florence Henderson has great vocals. I mean, you cannot deny it. And this album is really good. It's called Dance Fever. Highly recommend it. And it's called Dance Fever, but the album has very, very variations of tempos and grooves. It's a great album. You can play from beginning to end. I've been revisiting them lately. I have not been listening to that much new music lately because I just don't like anything that's out really. I really have had to go back and like listen to other albums and artists to give me like excitement and thrills, and listening to them at a different age, like going back and revisiting certain albums at 30 compared to when I listen to it at 20, it hits different. Some of it do. Just saying. So that happened. But in, grand fashion and concluding, this week has been filled with a lot of surprises and excitement and madness. So one of the things that I want to just talk about is so small, but so silly. Raising Cane's, okay? Is opened in Philadelphia, and it has been an entire shit show. Now, let me be clear when I say shit show in this regard. It's successful. It's super successful. It's successful to the point that for the past like 72 hours, there's been long lines. Like there's not been a time when that door was closed and there was no bodies, unless it was early morning. But ridiculous long lines has been foaming at the mouth since its grand opening on Thursday. It's been several hours, days on ends, long lines. The lines have been ridiculously long. I was one of the first 100 people to go. I was at the grand opening in the long line. So if some of y'all saw me on Fox 29 on my phone, I was working while in line. I just wanted to go because it was for me a memorable thing. I grew up in Houston, Texas, as you all know, with this accent, and Raising Cane's have been around for years. So I grew up off of Raising Cane's. They were based in Baton Rouge, which is in Louisiana, which, is not too far from Texas. And the chain started in the South. So I've been on the whole, Raising Cane's like moment. So for people to understand it, it's a chicken concept, boneless chicken concept. They do chicken sandwiches and they do chicken tenders. They don't have any barbecue sauce. That's my only thing that makes me upset about them is they don't have barbecue sauce. They have their own special sauce. I don't like special sauces. I always get grossed out, but people like the sauce. I never tried it. I won't try it. I don't like sauces. I don't like anything that's mixy. I'm very anti-condiments. Like I don't really like mayo. I don't mind it a little bit. I don't like ketchup. I hate ketchup. I hate mustard. I hate relish. I only like barbecue sauce. I like hot sauce, but like everything else, I just can't bang with like that. So I'm always turned off when I hear it. So they have like honey mustard and everything else, but they have barbecue. So I'm like, and they have hot sauce, but I don't. Everybody hot sauce ain't the same. I really only like Louisiana hot sauce. Anybody else's hot sauce is like, like Tabasco. That's not hot sauce. I don't know what the fuck that is. That's like pepper sauce. That's not real hot sauce. Like Louisiana is my favorite hot sauce. The other ones, I can't. But anywho, a lot of people like it. So their concept is they do chicken sandwiches and they do chicken strips. They do combos. So basically, you're always going to get a side of coleslaw. And you're going to get this big, beautiful Texas toast. And you're going to get these beautiful crinkle fries. Everything comes out super hot and delicious. Very, very hot, very seasoned well, very flavorful. And they also known for their delicious lemonade, their Arnold Palmer's, their teas. That's what they do. Okay? This might sound familiar to many of you all. It sounds like Chick-fil-A, doesn't it? But except without the bigotry and the homophobia and a more strict menu about what they do. Like, they're not trying to be like burgers and everything else. They are strictly chicken. They're strictly boneless chicken. They're strictly, you coming in there for a chicken sandwich. They remind me of like what Chipotle used to be really, right? Was like bows, burritos, and tacos. I mean, which is really still Chipotle, but this is there. Now, for those in Philadelphia, they replaced Bobby Burger Palace for Raising Cane's, which I think is a badass move. I like the idea. I think that's smart. So it's been crazy because ever since they opened, there's like no Raising Cane's around here. So people have just been losing their mind. It reminds me of the Popeyes chicken sandwich phenomenon when everybody lost their mind and wanted to get a chicken sandwich at there. That's what it reminds me of. Now I heard from someone that many years ago, over 10 years ago, well over 10 years ago, because I was a Bobby's Burger Pie in 2010 with my mom when I first came to Penn. So Bobby's Burger Pie has been out longer than that. But they said that they hadn't seen a line like that long since when Bobby Burger Pies had first opened, and that was over a decade ago. So it's interesting that now that's happening with Raising Cane's. The lines have been long, even in the rain. The indoor spot is spacious. It's beautiful, beautiful seats, beautiful tables. It's meant to, be a hangout spot for college kids. Let me just say that I know that once the Penn students, graduate this weekend and they out of Penn and they're leaving, that it might calm down a little bit more, because really this energy is being being perpetuated by college students. So all of them are still on campus right now. So they're just going crazy. Because I'm like, regular grown ass people, we're not waiting in long lines like that unless there's an event or something. But like I was there to like observe and cover. But like, I was like, all them people are college kids. It was wild because I don't even know what their hours are, because they had people. Mr. Johnson, I was driving through, Philly, West Philly, and we was leaving. I said, oh my God, it's like midnight, and that line still got people at that line. I'm like, it's like the club. We're like Club Raising Cane's. The lines have been long, like every single night. It's been wild out there. All this with some damn chicken strips. The novelty of it all. And you know how people say, why aren't those lines better than people going to the polls and voting? I mean, listen, there are long lines. And honestly, let's be clear, long lines is not a good thing, because what it sounds like is voter suppression. What it sounds like is people not having their act together. It sounds like inconsistencies at the polls. But it's also anti-black. People are like, oh, well, there's fried chicken places, everybody go in line for that, but they ain't at the polls. Shut up. Because let's be clear, the reason why people aren't at the polls is that you have to have better, candidates to get people excited, but you also have to have, a better party system that makes the system better for people to participate in the democratic process. Let's not be stupid here or obtuse. But anyway, with when you look at Raising Cane's in the line, it was like all this long line for these chicken. And I know Chipotle is right next door, Sweet Green's right there. I remember the days when people was hyped about Sweet Green like that. It's so funny because like there was someone I know that said they were wanting to go, but they said, listen, that was the first time they went into Sweet Green and it was like in and out, because the girls didn't trade the salads for the chicken tenders. The people didn't trade the burritos for the chicken sandwiches. Like, people just want that. And I'm like wondering to myself, how has this hampered business for Chipotle and Sweet Green these past couple of days? I feel like this is probably the first time they've been able to like have a fast, speedy process. Back in the day, I remember everybody was at Chipotle. The lines was just so much. To the point that I can't eat Chipotle today. Like, I haven't had Chipotle since I was in college. It's been like 8 years. I mean, I think I've had it every blue moon. Like, if I was somewhere and they had it, or it was an event I went to and they had it catered. But like, me actively getting up and saying I'm going to Chipotle is just not Ernest in 2022. It's just not happening. Like, I remember all the times I went to Amanda, and we used to go all the time. Like, that was the thing. She and her and burritos. I mean, she used to save them. She found a creative way to like save burritos. I used to always never think you can save a burrito, but she found the coolest ways to save them and things. This is a big ass. I would eat my shit in one setting. But she used to find creative ways to save them. I think it's like you don't want to get lettuce or like fresh veggies inside of it because it gets soggy if you cook it. I never even knew that because I never had them like that. But there's like creative ways to eat, Chipotle. But I'm Chipotle out. I'm the sort of tortillas, all that. I am like over it. Like, I'm so done with burritos from there. Now, Qdoba, I have a soft spot for Qdoba. Like, I don't know. I think Qdoba offers more, and it just feels like what it is? They add guac without paying extra. Because Chipotle want to charge you a whole meal for the cost of guac. Anyway, I digress. Raising Cane's, loved it again. It's just as good as it was in the South over here on the East Coast. Hopefully you all do not ruin it, and stop asking Southerners about it. Like, have you been over there? You gotta have this. I'm like, excuse me, motherfucker, do you follow any of my shit? Stop it. I couldn't tell you how many people kept messaging me being like, oh my God, you have to try the Texas toast. Meanwhile, have said repeatedly throughout my videos, like, oh, I'm from here, I've been here, I know what to do. It just gets so annoying sometimes. Like, people just be, and it's like, I just feel like it's going to get so, I mean, first of all, they put it in like University. So I'm like, I'm scared it's gonna be gentrified. It's very gentrified. Oh my god, it was so gentrified to the point where when I was at the grand opening, they had a marching band from West Philly High, predominantly black. I used to teach there. Fun fact at West Philly High, the kids were there all black. They were playing their instruments. They were doing swag surf and they were playing it on the drums and the music. And I was excited, like, yes, let's get it, swag and surf. No one in the crowd moved. No one moved. It was almost as if they never heard the sound before. It was like, wait, do you understand? This is a band and they're playing a jam and no one's getting groovy. It was awkward. I said, oh God. So you have in West Philly, University City, this gentrified plot of land. They're trying to be nice because Raising Cane's got like a $25 check to the school. You have this black band performing and the crowd is mostly white and Asian. And they're playing these hits and no one's in the group. It just the cognitive dissonance. But I just said, let me just go ahead and eat my genders and go. I was trying to be one of the 20 people that won the raffle for a year of Raising Cane's. And I realized that, well, I lost. I didn't get it, which was a bummer. But honestly, I looked at myself and I said, after I had Raising Cane's, I said, you know what? This is one of those places where you really cannot eat here all the time because it is so, I mean, it's just, like, I feel like having it like that, like, I don't have to eat it, like, for another couple of weeks. It's one of those places. Like, it's very, very good, let me be clear. But it's one of those places where it's very, the food is very, like, I don't know, memorable or rich, that it's, like, you can't, like, casually treat, like, you know, it's a thing. Like, but I can see people becoming addicts because it is addicted to Raising Cane's. Because if you haven't had it before, you're addicted to it. But I just think it's one of the places where, you know, you get your, you know, when you get your chicken feel, and then, you know, you get your fix. At least for me, I got my fix, and I'm like, okay, I can come back, you know, a couple weeks from now. So I won some gift cards, which was good. So, you know, I'll be back again. Mr. Johnson, I've already had it. We, you know, when he used to come to Houston for the holidays, that was where we went because Chick-fil-A was just not on the table, clearly. And I'm happy because Chick-fil-A is like not really in Philly anymore. I mean, it's not in Liberty Place. I think there might be one somewhere else around here, but like they're not as prominent in Philly. But I'm just happy that Raising Cane's is about to take the market up around here because it's well deserved. And Philly's Popeyes, I mean, you guys are up and down with Popeyes here. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's horrible. I don't know, but there is a Popeyes now that replaced the Checkers on like I think not, is it 46? Like, oh, like 43rd, 42nd and Market. There used to be a Checkers there. Now it's replaced by Popeyes. And I know they're probably feeling like, boy, that Raising Cane's is over there because they had the chicken game on lock. And we're not going to talk about the disgustingness of, you know, that other place. What is it called? Wishbone? Yikes. So that's an interesting, yeah. I never liked Wishbone. I'm just like, first of all, that mac and cheese at Wishbone is disgusting. Second of all, why are we, you know, breading? We're doing pretzel crumbs as the breading for chicken tenders. But anyway, I digress. What the fuck? So that's that. Raising Cane's pretty good. So in wrapping up everything, I guess, I have not been watching too much TV because I've been working on a very big story that I know I thought would be ready for you all, you know, to talk about for this episode. But it looks like next week is going to be very explosive. The elections, this story, a bunch of stuff is going down. I'm going to a wedding. Barry's maid of honor, Katrina, is getting married next week. So I'm going to be going to her wedding. There's a bunch of other things on the horizons coming up. So I just thought to myself, you know, I've been working on that story. Now, this story that's coming out, it's going to be a big deal. It might come out very, very soon, early top of the week, actually. But it's for Philadelphia Magazine, and I've been working on it for quite some time. Let's just say that there's really going to be a conversation. I know I'm teasing and trolling you. I will tell you that it involves race. I will tell you that it involves nonprofit culture. I will tell you that it involves women. I will tell you that it involves paternalism. It involves money. We love a story about money. It involves power. It involves fame. It involves a familiar incident. It contains a lot of things. It's a very big story. Everyone who reads it will take different things out of it for sure. I will tell you that the person involved in the story specifically has been very much trying to stop the story from coming out. I mean, or has delayed the progress on the story coming out. There's been a lot going on, but I think we're now in a part where we're in a clearing, we're in a green, and now we're just going to now move forward. It's ready. The story is ready, and I'm proud of it. I'm happy about what I've been able to achieve. It's a long form. It's very long. It's going to be online, but it's a very long story, but it's very in depth, and there's a lot of important themes and topics. So I'm super excited about it. As far as everything else goes, Abbott Elementary, shout out to them for sending me this incredible kit of swag. I mean, I feel like I have a whole Abbott Elementary uniform. I have like a hoodie, a backpack, a mug, a nice letter. I mean, it was very dope. And as a member of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, as on the board of governors for them to the Mid-Atlantic region, I cannot wait for the Emmys. I cannot wait to vote. I've been judging entries. I'm excited. So, yeah, that is everything for now. I'm just gearing myself up. I'm taking some time to enjoy the weekend. I'm having dinner with friends and just really just reconnecting because I know that these next couple of days are about to be wild. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.